All right, so kind of back to the story, what was going on. So, as I said, I was one of the best shooters in the country and one of the best players in the country. If you see my videos when I was 9 years old, a lot of them are lost. I'm going to get to that, but I was doing incredible stuff. But like I said, my dad got the shoot-away machine. And I think it's because he thought, because I was shooting overhead, that I was shooting wrong. But it's because I was picking the ball off a rack and you can't move into shots correctly. And shooting is all about how you move into shots. And like I was saying, if I shoot with my left hand, which hasn't been disrupted by the shoot-away machine, I'll go into the shots and I'll go like this, and I'll be like completely sideways like this when I shoot, right? Like I'll dribble right here, and then I'll go like this, and I'll be completely sideways, or I'll go like this, and then I'll go for a layup. I'll be completely sideways, and that's because of how I move into it. But if I was picking the ball off a rack with my left hand, I wouldn't be able to do any of that. The rack is a serious problem. But my dad didn't know that. It doesn't allow you to move into shots that makes you sideways like my dad wanted. My dad wanted me to be sideways, but my dad was saying, I was like, pick the ball off the rack and then spin sideways. But he didn't know that it's all about how you move into it. And when he passed to me, I would automatically do it was right. If I had the ball, I would automatically do it was right. But if you're picking the ball off a rack, you can't do it because the rack's right here. So I had to do this. And that made me square. And my dad's like, why are you shooting square? Spin into it. But the problem is, he's telling me to spin into it, so then I go start spinning into it, and that's completely wrong. That's not how a good shooter is going to shoot. It's not, but being sideways is not the answer. The answer is how you move into it, and it's complicated. But my dad messed up my shot. So, but I didn't know that. In my mind, because my whole life my dad helped me. You know, my dad helped me my whole life, but like I said, it wasn't a big deal my whole life because he would just pass me and I would automatically do what was right. But there'll be little problems like my feet are too wide. But my dad would be like, your feet are too wide. So I would adjust that, right? But those are just little problems. But now the shoot away, it's a big problem. And my dad's telling me to do the wrong thing. But I didn't know he's telling me to do the wrong thing, and I feel like I need him. He's telling me, your shot looks terrible. I didn't know my shot looked terrible. He's telling me, you shoot. I didn't know what was going on because I was always unconscious. That's why I was so good. It was because I was unconscious. So now he's telling me to do the wrong thing. I don't know what to do, but I feel like I need his help because he's telling me my shot looks ugly. And like I said, so I went to my parents took me to a psychologist, as I said. And the first psychologist, I was mentioning, my mom. My mom took me to a psychologist, and she was like, so my mom was talking to my friend's dad, Jabari's dad, and he was saying, how Jabari had become a jerk. He had become a jerk or something, right? And my mom was like, yeah, that must be what happened to Ryan. He just all of a sudden became a jerk. It's kind of like his friend Jabari, and his dad was talking about that. So then my mom writes a letter to the psychologist. She's like, Ryan was so amazing. He was a wonderful boy. He was a wonderful boy, but now he's just a jerk, and we don't know what happened to him. He's just, now he's a jerk. And she's calling me a bunch of names. So she writes to the psychologist. So I talked to the psychologist, and the psychologist looks at me, and she's like, Ryan, you are not the problem. She says, your mom is the problem. She says, she's calling you all these names. She said, I've never seen anybody as bad as your mom. She said, your mom has serious mental issues. And that's going to be important for in the future when my mom tried to get me in the psych ward. And they ended up getting me out of it. The people at the psych ward, at first they think I'm the problem, but then they interacted with my mom, and they were like, "Whoa, your mom's the problem. Your mom has mental issues. Your mom has They thought my mom had a personality disorder. They're like, the way that your mom talks about you, the way they said it's criminal, it's disgusting." Because my mom be like, but again, my grandpa confused my mom, so I'll get to that. But my mom was like, I just want him independent. I want him out of my life. And the people at the psych ward, this is in after college, they're like, you can't talk about your son like that. They're like, but my mom's like, what? His grandpa talks, because my mom's mind, she's like, but his grandpa talked about being independent. I think I'm doing this right. No, my mom's just very stupid. So my mom goes, sent me to the psychologist, and she's like, he used to be wonderful, but now he's just she writes a letter to the psychologist, but now he's just a jerk. And the psychologist is like, your mom's calling you all these names. She's like, that's inappropriate. She said, she's interacting with me. She's like, you're a good kid. There's nothing wrong with you. The problem is your mom is the problem. So then after that, and I remember I cried during that because I never even thought about that because I was just used to it. You know, I thought that I didn't realize how bad my mom was until the psychologist was letting me know. And then, but then afterwards, it's like my mom, after this, like, she took me to the psychologist, my mom was like, Ryan, you're never going back to that psychologist again. That psychologist is crazy. Okay? So then she sent me to a new psychologist. So now back to the story. I'm in the backyard. I'm picking the ball off the rack. My dad's still shooting me. And at this point, my grandpa's there too. So my dad has me in the backyard. He's having me pick the ball off the rack. He's like, just stand like this. Now again, the reason I was such a good shooter was because I would just move into it and I would, and this stuff makes me sideways, the way I moved into it. Like I said, if you look at the video of when I was younger, I'm moving backing up and then I catch it and this leg goes back. I catch it and this leg goes back. And that makes me sideways, right? I'm backing up and this leg's back and then I go like this and that makes me sideways. But my dad's like, well, my dad knew that being sideways was good, but he didn't know it was because of how I moved into it. How I, catch it and then step. He didn't know that. So my dad's just like, pick the ball off the rack and just stand like this and shoot sideways. So I'm picking the ball off the rack and I'm going like this. And then I remember my grandpa's in the backyard. And my grandpa is looking at me and my dad's like, just stand like this and then shoot. And I'm making some shots doing this. And my grandpa's out there, he's like, amazing. Isn't that amazing, Paul? Isn't he amazing? But the thing was, I was always the best shooter in the country. And I'm not even shooting that good. It's because I'm shooting like this, like an idiot. Picking the ball off the rack and going like this. I'm no longer moving into shots. My dad used to pass me, and that's what made me move into shots right. But then my dad's trying to artificially make me shoot sideways. So I'm going like this, and I'm doing my one-handed form shots. And my grandpa's out there with this foot pointed toward the basket, and this foot to the side. My right foot to the side, and my left foot toward the basket. Whereas before, when I was younger, my left foot would be pointed out. And my right foot would be more toward the basket, but it would also be sideways, like this. But it's based on how I move into it. That's what made me shoot like that. It's all about how you move into it. But my dad is thinking that it's about the outcome being sideways. But no, it's about how you moved into it. Like if I shoot with my left hand, I can do it. Like I'll dribble my right hand and I'll go like this. Like I'll go up into the shot and then I'll step and then I'll shoot right here, right? So if I'm with my left hand, I'll dribble it in, and I'll go like this, and then look how sideways I am, and I'll shoot like this, right? But it's about how I move into it that makes me, I dribble, and I do it in and out right here, and I'll go like this. Or if I'm going this way, I'll dribble like this, and then I'll bring this left leg back, and then be sideways like that, right? It's all about how you move into it that does it. If I'm going like this, and I have to be like that, it's all about how you move into it. But my dad's like, oh, just pick the ball off the rack. So my grandpa's in the backyard and I'm going like this. My dad's like, so he's telling me to do the exact wrong thing. Before my left foot would be pointed out, but then my dad's having me put my left foot forward and this like this and make me sideways. It's just completely destroyed me. If it wasn't for the shoot away, though, like what I'm saying is if it wasn't for the shoot away machine, none of this would have happened because my dad would have just been passing me and I would have been automatically just moving into shots naturally. Now, I'm going to... Again, recently I was shooting bad because I was shooting with my left foot and I was shooting with more square a little bit. But I'm going to hopefully get to the gym soon and play and I'll show you everybody. I have to record it, but it has to be a gym where I don't think my phone's going to get stolen. And then I will show, hopefully, people that my shot's better now. But if it wasn't for the shoot away, my dad just completely destroyed my shot. But then, like I said, I'm not, my dad goes to my game. I remember he went to one of my games and my friend Zane was at the game. And my dad drove Zane. My dad drove him. And then during the game I played bad, right? And then after the game my dad was all upset. He was all mad and Zane was there. And my dad was like, he told me, yeah, he told me you're not going to play in the NBA. He used to think I was going to play in the NBA. But he's like, you're not going to play in the NBA. He told me after the game, you played terrible. You just played awful. And the thing was, yeah, because I remember in the game I was catching the ball and I was going straight forward and doing this. Like I was practicing in the backyard, picking the ball off the rack. That's not how I shot before. Before I would catch it, I'd be backing up and then step back and then go like this and make me sideways. It's all about how you move into it. But now I'm catching it and then going like this. Or I'd catch it, so my dad was like, you played terrible. And my dad was really in a bad mood. And Zane was in the car, and then my dad got in road rage. My dad always had problems. He got in road rage, and then he went in front of a person. He put on the windshield wiper fluid, and they made the person behind him wet. And my dad was just in a really bad mood. And I remember Zane was kind of like, whoa, like there's something wrong with your dad. And then I started coming to school with black eyes. And then Ronaldo asked me, my friend Ronaldo, he was like, Ryan, is your dad beating you up? Because he was. And like I said, the reason why he was beating me up was because I'd be like, Dad, can we shoot? He was, you played terrible. And I'd be like, Dad, well, can we go home and look at my shot and fix it? And be like, it's no use. I can't help you anymore. I give up. I can't help you anymore. But in my mind, he's telling me my shot is terrible. I don't know how to fix it. I don't even know what to do. So I'm like, Dad, I need your help. He's like, ask me again, I'm gonna fuck you up. So that's what happened. So then, but then my dad's all upset. So I remember my dad came home from work one day, and my dad was like, I'm gonna commit suicide. I'm not making this up. My dad was like, I'm just gonna kill myself. And I was like, why? And then my dad was like, well, I know how to kill myself. I know how to use the needle. Because my dad's a surgeon. So he's like, I know how to use the needle to put it in my vein and kill myself. And today I was really considering killing myself. And I was like, but in my mind, because my dad was being a bitch at that point, because I would be like, Dad, can you help me? And my grandpa would be like, Ryan, everything's just fine. You have to just accept. Your dad doesn't want to shit with you. You just have to accept. And then so my dad would be like, yeah, Ryan, you just have to, my mom and dad, you just have to, my mom was like, Ryan, you have to just accept. Everything is fine. But not every, but I'm like, Dad, I need some help, And I didn't know that he was the one who was messing me up in the first place. And this is why this is just a whole crazy tragedy. So my dad's like, I'm going to kill myself. And he was devastated because my dad did think I was going to play in the NBA, and I was good enough, but he fucked me up. But he was thinking there was something wrong with me, and that's what my mom thought. My mom was like, what's wrong with you, Ryan? You're a shooter. What's wrong with you? You can't handle the pressure? She thought that because I couldn't handle the pressure, I started to lose it. No, I was always the best. And I was, and like I said, freshman year I was a starter. I lost my starting spot in 10th grade. 11th grade I got my starting spot back. I was good with everything. But my dad was fucking me up. But if it wasn't for the shoot away, like I said, I was a starting point guard on varsity as a freshman. Dribbling wise, defense, everything, I was great. But my shot was bad because my dad screwed it up with the shoot away machine. So then my mom was like, I'm going to kill myself. Because my whole life, my dad went to every one of my games. He used to drive me around the city and take me to basketball courts, and we'd always shoot. Every day. He never missed one day. He loved basketball. And he told me he thought I was going to play in the NBA. He told my friend's dad, Malik's dad, he thought I was going to play in the NBA. And my dad was so into it. And now look at everything happen. Now I quote unquote sucked. But he didn't know it was because of him that I sucked, that he screwed me up with the shoot away. He's thinking that I just suck. So he's like, I just want to kill myself. I was thinking of killing myself today, just putting a needle in my vein and just killing myself. And then, but I was like, okay, whatever. Dad, can we work on my shot? Because I wanted help with my shot. So anyway, so this is going on, and then so this is the problem that's going on, and then like I said, my mom and dad ended up kicking me out of the house, and I was staying with my friend Afam, and then I would call and I'd be like, Dad, Mom, can I please come home? My mom, you can't come. You need your daddy. Why do you need your dad? You little fucking pussy. You're 16 years old. You need your dad. You're 16. You're not 2 years old. You're 17. You're not 2 years old. You little fucking bitch. So I'm like. So that's what's going on, and then I get home, and I remember my dad stopped going to my games, but he would go to my games every once in a while. And like I said, I went to the psychologist and I told him, I was like, can we please make it not capricious? Because my dad was so capricious. Like my dad would sometimes shoot with me if he heard that I had a good game. And again, my stupid grandpa would be like, when I told my grandpa this later, he'd be like, Ryan, it wasn't because you had a good game that he started shooting with you. It's because when you had a good game, you were happy. And when you're happy, you treated him with respect. And then he shot with you. Always trying to blame me. No, my dad's superficial, dude. My dad was not like, it wasn't because I was being, I just wanted help with my shot. And it wasn't because I was happy. And then my dad magically, because he saw I was happy. No, my dad was superficial as shit. He looked in the newspaper and he goes, oh, Ryan made the game-winning shot. Okay, I'll shoot with you today, Ryan. So he's shooting with me. And, and then like he would stop taking me to practice. Like I said, my whole life he went to every one of my practices. He was always there, and I felt like I needed him still. And now I really did need him. Before, when I was the best, I didn't need him, and he went to every one of my practices and every one of my games. But and he shot with me every day. But now that I needed him, because he was the one that ironically screwed up my shot, but at the time I didn't know that. I needed him, and he gave up on me. So then I was like, Dad, can you please? And my dad told me, I'm not making this up. My dad was like, he said, Ryan, you're crazy. And I was like, he was like, Ryan, he said, your sister Leah, she's not crazy like you. I get along well with Leah. Everything's great with Leah. And I raised you the same as I raised Leah. That shows that it's not something wrong with it was not something wrong with me. And it's not the way that because we raised you both the same. It's something wrong with you. There's something wrong with you. So now my family had basically dehumanized me at that point. So my dad's thinking I'm crazy. And this is another thing my dad told me. So my dad told me, he said, I had a friend. Because remember, at this time he's suicidal. He's like, I had a friend. And he told me that, he told me that he had a friend who had a son, and he said that his friend didn't like the son. Or he had children. He was like, he told me that I had a friend, and he told me that he hated his teenagers, and he said he wished he never had them. And I used to think that was terrible that someone would say that, because I used to love you, and I thought that was terrible. But now I understand what he was saying. So my dad was basically saying that he hated me. And he was like, but in his mind, he's like, but this is normal because this happens to a lot of people. Like my friend who has teenagers he hates, and it's a teenager's fault. My dad never thought that it was possibly his fault because of the shoot-away machine. And then my grandpa's coming in. My grandpa didn't know it was a shoot-away machine. I didn't even know it was a shoot-away machine. So my grandpa was like, well, this is normal. Ryan, and you're not getting along, but this is normal. This happens a lot. What happens is kids in high school, they become rebellious because they want independence. And that's what's going on. And that's why Ryan's fighting with you. That's not what was going on. That's not what happened at all. I wasn't rebellious. I wasn't wanting independence. The only thing that happened was my shot got messed up, but my grandpa didn't know that. My grandpa came in from Kauai. So then my grandpa comes in from Kauai, and then my grandpa's like, well, then Ryan should live with the farm. So then my parents are like, yeah, make him independent. That's what Ryan really wants, is independence. But that turned into just throw Ryan to the side and get rid of Ryan. But I needed help. And I didn't need to be thrown to the side. I needed more, really, and this is what I try to tell them. If it wasn't for the shoot-away machine, none of this would have happened. I would have been a star basketball player. My dad wouldn't have been like, I want to kill myself. He would have been like, yeah, Ryan, woo, yeah, you're the best. And my mom would have been in the stands like, he's amazing. Oh, he's amazing. Yeah, this is my son. He's so awesome. Yeah. But instead, because my dad fucked up my shot with the shoot-away, my dad's he's staying home and he wants to kill himself. And my mom's like, what's wrong with you? You're a shooter. But if it wasn't for the shoot-away machine, none of this would have happened. None of it would have happened. So, yeah, so it was chaos. It was tragedy. It was terrible. And then, and I remember one time, my mom was like, Ryan, what happened to you? Were you raped? Just tell me you were raped. This was my senior year, and I was like, no, I was never raped. And because I played with the P. Miller Ballers. This was Master P's basketball team. And Master P was a coach and stuff. So my mom was like, were you raped when you played with Master P's basketball team? And she was going to try to like blame Master P and those people for raping me. And I was like, no. And if you think about it, like if I was a non-healthy mental person, I might have been like, hey, could be a way to excuse everything that's going on and just say it's because I was raped. And that's what my mom was trying to make me do. And that's fucking stupid. My mom has mental issues, dude. Were you raped? And I was like, no, I wasn't raped, dude. Just tell me they raped you, Ryan. Just tell me they raped you. And I was like, Mom, I was never raped. And she was like, you started falling apart at about the time you were playing with Master P's basketball team. Did they rape you? Also, at that time, was the time that I was shooting all the time on the shoot-away machine. That's really what happened. It wasn't because I was raped. It was because of the shoot-away machine. But they didn't know that. So at the time, I didn't know that either. So I was just like, no, I was never raped, Mom. She's like, just tell me they raped you. So I'll continue.